Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today, kind of just the Boomer Bust general. I want to talk to you about my draft plans. So, as you know, if you have been following, this is a draft channel first and foremost, At the heart of it, that's what this was all about. I started doing bear stuff on the side, and then I combined all my channels into one, blah, blah, blah. But the COVID short year last year and just in general, being an adult is kind of throwing me off a bit. So I started this stuff way back in the day. I was still in high school. And so I've been in the draft game for a minute, and you realize quickly that at this age, you don't have the time you used to. But with that being said, I was planning on skipping this year. I just did not have the fire because it's a grind. Please do not get the wrong impression from the mock drafts and the NFL really commercializing the draft. This stuff is a grind, and knowing actual scouts in the NFL, knowing scouts from, various places, knowing coaches, like all of this is a grind. It's a very tough grind. And that's one that I was able to do back in the day more easily than I am now. So what I decided, we ended up having some snow days here in Illinois. We had a big storm. And so I said, I'm gonna dive in. This is God gave me a sign. I'm gonna dive into the draft, and I did not. I had so many other things to do, and so I thought it was done. I thought, I'm okay. I'm at peace, letting it go. I'm just not gonna do it this year. But then I had some time the other day, and I said, hey, let's just do the offensive tackles. That's the first group I always start with. Let's do the offensive tackles. And if you don't feel it anymore, then we'll shut it down. And so that was my compromise with myself. 3 plays in, I felt the fire. I was ready to go. And offensive line, offensive line is what I always start with. It's the toughest one. It's always every year. I used to know, like, okay, let's push through offensive line. Even though I love watching it, there's just very long games, especially now, where back then they used to kind of cut a particular player's plays together, which I didn't love, but it was shorter. Now they just kind of give you the whole O-line, which is like all the plays, so it's longer. So it's a grind, but I loved it. The fire, you cooking with gas, you hear that click, that tick, 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 tick. Yeah, the flame hit. So I was ready to go. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. But the fact of the matter is I still have very limited time. So what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to try and do the top 5 players at each position. Unless is not a word. Unless that player is in the top 50, then I might do some extra players that's more than 5. Obviously, I don't do the fullbacks, kickers, punters. I don't do that. And so some positions each year, they got more depth than others. So some going to be more. Like even the tackle example. There was a couple players at 6 and 7 for different reasons that I was pushed towards, and so I'm going to do that. If, by Lord willing, I'm able to get to a second round and really dive deeper, then I'll try to pick up some of these guys that picked up steam and try to evaluate them. But for the most part, I'm gonna just try to do the top 5 at each position, and so I can have a very good landscape of what's happening this year. Obviously, not all those players are gonna go in the first round. So if I had my ideal choice, I would know the vast majority of players in the first through the 4th round. That's really my bread and butter. Not to say that I can't do the other stuff, but you know, there's guys, some of my friends, they are like 400 plus deep players. They know all the undrafted free agents. I don't do all that. I don't do all that. That's not where my wheelhouse is. So, especially with limited time. So I'm going to try to do the top 5 of each position and get a real good sense of the draft and a good sense of some sleeper picks as well. And so that is how we are going to move. Right after this, I'll be uploading my first episode, which is the offensive tackles. As I said, I went 7 deep. And then I'll probably be starting up on the interior O-line next tomorrow. We'll see how many we got and how long the tape is. But I would hope by the end of this week that I'm done with the quarterbacks. That's my goal by Friday. So that's what we'll be pushing for. So yeah. So again, I know some people really want to have a deep dive on certain things, and for me, it comes down to this: if the Bears draft players and I go and find film and break it down, it's no different than breaking it down right now. My goal is not to predict the draft. It used to be something like that, and I've grown a whole lot, you know, since my first year. My goal, that's not my goal anymore. I'm not trying to predict the draft. I'm just watching these players, and I'm trying to give you a good sense of who they are, where they fit, where they can thrive, or, you know, what type of ceiling they have. And so for the Bears, look, the Bears is my number one concern, obviously. And so at the end of the day, whatever I don't catch that we end up drafting, I'll be able to watch the film if they got it, and we'll break it down and we'll talk about it then. That's what I've been doing the last few years, and it's fine. It's fine with me. So if you have questions about the draft and the Chicago Bears draft and all that, that's what I'll be doing. Obviously, if there's some, I don't see this happening, but if there's someone for whatever reason all the fans want me to look at, I'll look at. But for the most part, we probably won't know who the Bears are going to draft until they have to draft them. And then I'll probably see some second, third round picks along the way that I'll mention, hey, I wish we would go after this person. So, yeah, that's where we are. So, if you got any questions, let me know. Go down the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.